Hey Sewtopians, it's Jess here and welcome to our August cloth nappy sew along. I'm so excited to dive in with all of you. This month is going to be so much fun. There's going to be lots of videos, there's going to be lots of tutorials, there's going to be lots of conversation in our group about sewing cloth nappies. Don't be afraid if you're a complete beginner because we all have to start somewhere. A few years ago I was completely new to sewing cloth nappies and I've learned so much along the way. We will have complete beginners all the way up to people who are professional and do this for a living, and we're going to come together and we're going to learn how to sew cloth nappies. Please don't be overwhelmed. Please don't be afraid to ask questions because we are here to help. I know there's a lot of information to digest, so I aim to streamline a lot of that information for you to break it down into easy to understand instructions. In this video, I'm going to be talking about all the different types of nappies that there are out there because there are tons. I won't be covering all of them, but I will be covering the ones that I have in my Nappy Stash and the ones that I'm familiar with. There are tons more than the ones that I have, but at the end of the day, we want a nappy that is functional. And it doesn't matter if it doesn't have bells or whistles, it just needs to work. So let's dive in. Alright guys, I have a basket full of cloth nappies here, most of which I have made. A couple that I bought, maybe a couple that I've been given, things like that. But every single nappy in this basket here is a different type of nappy so that I can give you all of the different examples that I can think of without confusing you too much. I really just want to explain some of the things that I get a lot of questions about, just because I don't want you guys to be confused and overwhelmed when we go into this sew along. So I'm going to start with the first most common type of nappy that you probably see at the moment, and it's one of these guys, and they are affectionately known as China cheapies. Self-explanatory. You can buy these off of AliExpress, you can buy them off eBay, and they're like less than 10 bucks each, and they're a really good entry-level cloth nappy. Yes, they help us to save the environment, better than using disposables, probably not my preference. They're not going to last as well as some of your cloth nappies that you could make yourself. Basically, when I bought a stack of 30 of these for 60 bucks off of someone off Gumtree, and they're quite worn. They seemed okay when I bought them, but they just seem to keep leaking, so I'm going to assume that the laminate is quite worn now, but they do the job when I need a nappy for around the house when I've run out of my other more preferable nappies. So yes, this is a China cheapie, but the type of nappy that it is a pocket nappy because you put your boosters or your absorbent layers inside the pocket so that they're not on the baby's skin. This is, I actually think they listed it as micro fleece, but it's not the micro fleece that we buy in our fabric stores here. So I'm really unsure, but it's micro something. It's not really all that nice. I prefer the layers against the baby's skin to be quite cushy and soft. So what we do is we take our booster layers and we stuff them inside. I used to, when I was using these a lot, sit there and watch TV, catch up on the news or whatever while I was stuffing nappies, and it's quite an enjoyable task actually. So the boosters that I got given with it, this is a microfiber cloth. It's like the stuff that you clean your mirrors and windows with. Very absorbent. I think this is 3 layers of microfiber. You would not put this on the baby's skin because they will end up with very dry skin, painful blisters if you did it for a long period of time. You don't want to go there. So that's why this goes inside, and I put it in with one of these, which is, there's microfiber inside of it, but the outside 2 layers are micro fleece. And so that, if you put it on the baby's skin, would be fine. But you don't put this on the baby's skin in one of these nappies. You stuff it inside the pocket, which is very easy to do. I'll try and make it look easy. And that all washes and dries really, really quickly because it all comes apart. So this is probably what you would classify as being an all-in-two nappy, because you've got your shell of the nappy and then you've got your boosters. That's two parts of the nappy that goes together, but more specifically, it is a pocket nappy. And it has snap closures, and it has, I don't know if you are all familiar with the rows of snaps here and what they're for. The top row of snaps is where the wing snaps snap over. These snaps, these rows of snaps, are here to make the nappy smaller. So if you've got a newborn, a large newborn, because as I learned, these are way too big for a newborn, and then you snap it shut. And a lovely lady in my group informed me you are supposed to tuck that up to avoid leaks, which, thank you Stephanie for that tip, because I felt really stupid when you told me. I'm like, duh. So anyway, easy enough to overlook, right? And so that's basically what this nappy does. Now, a few years ago when I had Soph, she's almost 4, I made my own version with a free nappy pattern that you can find online called Snap Sprout. And I turned it into a pocket. I think it comes with a pocket option, but it was, as a beginner, it was so over my head I didn't get it. So I have this huge flap here, which is ridiculous. I don't even need that bit. I don't even know why I did that. But anyway, this is like a China cheapie. My own version is a Jess cheapie. And I bought this pull from somebody in a nappy making group. Yeah, I got it really cheap. There's not heaps of printed pull around at the moment. It is a little bit hard to find because I believe, and I could be wrong. Oh, I can hear my cat at the door. Go away, Sammy. Okay, so my theory is because a lot of people are buying these China cheapies because people want to go cloth. People love the idea of cloth nappies. They don't like the price tag, which is, I completely understand that. You can buy these China cheapies, like I said, for less than $10 each. And I think what that has done is the market has been flooded by a lot of these China cheapies, and less people are making nappies now because there's less demand for WAHM made nappies, WAHM being work at home mum. And so there is less demand for the fabric, and so there's less fabric, and it's a little bit harder for those of us who are wanting to sew for ourselves finding them. But you can find them if you look hard enough. If you ask around, you'll find the fabric. So anyway, this is my version of the China cheapie, or I should say, my version of the pocket nappy. And yeah, it fit all right, worked well, but I won't use it for ribbon because it's a little bit too pretty. Okay, moving along to we're going to go back in time a little bit to when we were babies, when our mamas used to put these on our bums. Terry squares, terry toweling, flats, whatever you want to call them. And there's some really cool little folds that you can do, and I am such a novice at it. I suck at it, but I managed to put these on Reuben for a little bit, and I was actually putting these on underneath the China cheapies. I was using the China cheapies as covers because pilchers are gross and they stink, and I don't think you can even find them anymore. They're really cool to have on around home when you just want some nappies, when your kid's going through nappies like mine, and you just chuck it in the wash, give it a bit of rinse first, chuck it in the wash, hang it out in the sun. And I bought a few packets of these. I bought the Dickies, and I also bought the Big Softies from Big W because I wanted to compare them. And honestly, there's no difference in my opinion. You could just use cheap towels. You know, toweling, terry toweling does the same thing. So there's a few different types of fabrics that you can use as your squares or flats. One of them, the very cheap options, being flannelette. Flannelette is very, very affordable. So if that's something that you wanted to do, particularly on a newborn who doesn't wee quite as much as a bigger baby, they would work really, really well underneath a cover like a China cheapie. The other thing that I nearly forgot to mention was, back in the day, and I actually have a really funny story. Back in the day, and Mum, you will remember this, when our parents used to use these, they would use big safety pins. And guess what I did? I have one word: waterbed. Yep, I picked up the safety pin that Mum had through the top of the doona, and she left the room for a second while I was sitting there, and I thought that looked like fun, so I stuck it in, and it pierced a hole in Mum's massive waterbed. She was mad. So anyway, there was the next day, I came into my mum's room and there was like a row of men with buckets emptying out Mum's waterbed, and somehow they repaired it. I don't know how they repaired it, but they did, and I never did that again. Well, anyway, some smart cookie who must have had the same thing happen to them invented these things called Snappis, and they have little claws on them, and they grab onto the fabric or the toweling, and just don't scratch your baby with it because they don't like that, evidently. So yeah, these are really, really cool, and they stretch, so you can give it a really, really good stretch from one side to the other, and you're going to get that on there really, really firm. And you'll pop that on over the top of your toweling underneath a cover, and that will do you for a little while until your baby decides that it's time to go tinkle. And then you take it off and you'll chuck it in an open bucket, not a closed bucket, or give it a rinse. Or I'm a bit pedantic about washing, so I wash nappies immediately. I rinse them and then I'll put them all in a cycle when I've got a big enough bucket full of them. So yeah, that's what that is. And they come in a whole bunch of really, really cute colours. I've got some white ones, I've got some fluoro ones, so they're really cool. Just want to quickly mention, you can buy these as well. These are pockets. This particular one here is called Pea Pods. The logo is a bit worn on that. These are Pea Pods. These are Australian nappies. They are made in China, but they are Australian nappies. And they don't have the crotch rise snaps. Ruben is about 5 months old now, roughly, and these fit him really, really well. I don't need the crotch rise. And they have in their pocket what is called a trifold, because you fold it into thirds, and that goes inside the pocket. This one here, I believe, is made from bamboo terry. So this folds into thirds and goes inside this one here. Really, really cool fact. I bought 11 of these last week for 10 bucks. And I went into Baby Bunting the other day when I bought my Ergo, and I just wanted to find out how much they were. They are $19.95 each, brand new. The lady that I bought them off, she had bought them for her son 5 years ago, and I kid you not, I don't think she used them at all. I think she washed them a couple of times, but there was absolutely no staining on them at all. I did a strip and sanitize, and the water was completely clear. So I'm pretty stoked about that. I saved myself a ton of cash. So these last me, I go through about 11 of them in 2 days. I use them for my daytime nappies. Haven't had any leaks, which is really, really awesome. So that's a good one to look out for if you're wanting to buy a few. Definitely always look on Gumtree and on Facebook Marketplace for secondhand nappies, because you are going to need a ton of nappies when you are doing cloth nappies. It is not practical for all of us to make a complete stash. It would be awesome, and I wish that I could, but I don't have the time, just being honest. So I do have a lot of nappies that are bought. So that's just something to consider. So let's move along to what am I going to pick next. Okay, let's talk about covers. Let's talk about covers. All right, so a friend of mine, when she moved back to the States, she gave me a whole bunch of sewing things. She had to pack up as much as she could. She couldn't take it back with her, and I bought some stuff off of her, and in one of the boxes was an unfinished nappy. I don't know what the pattern was, but it was a really cool shape. It just didn't have the elastics in it, so I put the elastics in to finish it off. But she had done all the snaps and the Velcro, and I hadn't really done Velcro nappies before. Didn't heaps appeal to me, but I do quite like this one, and I use this one as a cover. The only thing that I will fault about this, and I don't think she knew, because I don't think it would have been listed as something when she bought it, but the pull has delaminated, which means that, and I don't think I'm gonna take a photo of this because I don't think I'll be able to show you guys, but there's like it looks like Glad wrap on the outside. So that's basically the laminate has come away from the fabric. It could be that it is recommended pull for, it's called food grade, so you can make sandwich bags and things out of that. It does not like being washed. So I don't know how much more life I am going to get out of this cover, but she did a really good job making this, and I'm really, really happy with it. I love how, so the Velcro wings have, this is the hook, this is the loop, and there's a sewn in loop there, so you can fold that down when you pop it in the wash so that it doesn't scratch and catch onto other things. It still has the crotch rise snaps in there. So I'm almost tempted to actually, once this is completely dead, take the elastic back out of it and trace it off and use it as a pattern to make covers. Typically covers will have, and I could be wrong that it's a typical thing, but this is just what I've observed, will have fold over elastic. So the yellow edges on here, this is called FOE, fold over elastic, on the edges. This one here, I believe, was meant to be a pocket nappy because it has that opening there. But I have actually been using it as a cover and it works really, really well. I use it as a nighttime cover, well, at least I did before it started to delaminate, over these guys here, which I'm going to talk about next. But I just want to talk about covers for a minute. So you can make covers if you do not want to sew with fold over elastic, and I do not judge you if you don't want to. I am going to teach you guys how to do that if you're interested. It's really not that hard. I learned how to do it when I was new to nappies, and I thought it was going to be really, really hard, and it was really, really easy. So I want to show you guys how I do it. So you can, anyway, you can make a cover with without the fold over elastic if you're just wanting to sew it together, right sides together, flip it out, top stitch it, and it will be fine. So you would typically use covers over nighttime nappies if you're wondering what you would do with those. If you're not wanting to do the terry squares, you would use these over your nighttime nappies for extra protection. So this one here, I made this one, and you guys will probably recognize this from the cover picture for our sew along. And this actually has a cotton lycra outer, but it has a pull inner, pull lining. And usually you don't make them with a cotton lycra outer, but I thought it was cute and I wanted it on the outside. So usually you sew the fold over elastic covers just with pull, it's literally just one layer, and then there's the cat again, and then you will reinforce your snaps because they're going to rip straight through the fabric when you pull them apart. And so I used the Pure Nappiness pattern to make this cover. There are heaps of free cover patterns that you can find, but I wanted a very specific fit to go over this one. This is a Pure Nappiness and it has no waterproofing in it. This is my nighttime nappy. Well, it's not my nighttime nappy, it's Ruben's nighttime nappy, just thought I'd clarify. This one has 2 different snap heights, and so for when he's small, for when he's bigger, and it does make quite a big difference when you fold those over and snaps on the wings. So basically the fold over elastic, the way you sew that down is you do that in a zigzag stitch, and you just play around with your settings until you get it right. I think the biggest mistake people make when they're sewing down fold over elastic is that they pin it. They measure it all out exactly and then they pin it down, and then when they go to stitch it, it all just moves and it's just a mess. I actually do mine freehand and I don't cut it until I've finished. So this is fold over elastic here. And I'll tell you guys where you can buy that from. There's a few different places you can buy it from and the different widths and things, but I prefer I think this is about 2.5 centimeters wide. And it has a line in it that actually folds the elastic over. And so basically you don't want to stretch this when you're sewing this on, except for across the back. I stretch it so when I sew it along there, and the leg along the crotch bits. But when you go around the corners, you do not want to stretch that. That has to be flat. And that's one of the biggest tips there. And don't worry too much if your zigzag goes out of line. Don't be too hard on yourself. You just want to get that on so that it's going to hold your nappy together. Remember, we just want nappies that we can use, and the more you do them, the better you will get, and you will be really, really proud of yourself. So don't stress. You can do it. Okay, so I'm going to move on to talking about my Reuben's nighttime nappies. I use the Pure Nappiness pattern for this. I'm not a huge fan of the Pure Nappiness pattern, only because I think the instructions are so vague. I had, at this point when I bought the Pure Nappiness pattern, I had made a ton of nappies and I still couldn't understand it. So I've totally winged things. So this is what we call a fitted nappy, because see these cute little fluffy wings? I love how they look, and that was, to me, that was the first thing, was I just want nappies that look like that. And then I now understand what the function is of this kind of nappy. So there's a few different ways that you can sew a nappy with serged overlocked edges. There's a few different reasons why you would do it. And one is called a hybrid, and this one here I would say is not a hybrid, this is just a fitted. And this one has no waterproofing in it whatsoever. This has to go under a cover, and this one is for nighttime. This thing gets so sopping wet. When I wake up in the morning, Reuben is so wet and it holds absolutely all of his wee. So this nappy is made using bamboo fleece on the outside, a hidden layer of bamboo fleece on the inside because I want it to be very absorbent, and it has suede cloth on the lining. And then we have the snapping boosters. So here is, this one snaps down, this one. So this goes down first, and then this one here has snaps on it, and it's two boosters sewn together, and that will snap down over the top of the other one, and it will hold it all in place. So this nappy, like I said, it gets sopping wet. This is so hard wearing. I give it a good rinse with a bit of hot water because I want to get all of that wee and the bad smell out of it. And then I chuck it in the wash with my normal nappy cycle. And I like to pop these in the dryer because I like to keep them really, really fluffy and absorbent, but you can, to get longer life out of them, you would probably be better off hanging them outside. Best time to hang out your nappies is in full sun because that helps to get rid of the smells and the stains. Alrighty, so moving along, we have what a lot of you would be familiar with is the nappy called the Rainbow Catcher. So what I really, really liked about the Rainbow Catcher was that Helen had actually made labels that you could buy off of her, so that you could identify when these were in circulation in the cloth community that this was a Rainbow Catcher nappy, which is really, really cool. And you can get a size label because they come in different sizes. I think I just use a medium, which is like a one size fits most, I guess. And the Rainbow Catcher probably has a lot of appeal to it because of the craze that was going around a while ago. It's not huge at the moment, but we'll bring it back, right? Is embroidering the nappies. And so I did this really, really cool under the sea one for Sophia when she was a baby. And I bought all of my under the sea themed embroidery files off of linnypenny.com. And she has awesome sales. So I just basically bought a whole heap of them, and I sat there for a few hours at the computer arranging it all, and I made this under the sea theme. And because I had seen another lady make this, and I asked her permission, does she mind if I rip off her nappy design? And she said, yep, go for it. So I made my own, wasn't planning on selling it or anything, so I think that was all right with her. And I got my Rainbow Catcher label sewn on there. And so the rainbow catcher is, again, it's a snapping booster. So this one actually has a trifold. So this is bamboo fleece, 2 layers of, and I like to do them with a smooth side facing in because I like the loopy side to be on the outside better. I feel like it absorbs better. And so you will overlock the edges of that, and then you fold it into 3, and then you lay that down, and then you get your booster, which I cannot find in my basket of tricks. The booster that I've got here, and you snap that over the top. And this is made from, on the front it is micro fleece and then just 1 layer of bamboo fleece, and then you pop the snaps in there underneath. Before you overlock it all together, you'll pop the snaps in. So that is basically how the rainbow catcher works. And I want to show you guys this really, really cool nappy that I made. I saw this wording going around online, so I thought I would make my own version of it. And I bought this embroidery file to the breastfeeding logo. And I bought that off Etsy, and then I embroidered onto it. It says, "Cloth on my bum, breast milk in my tum, sleeps with my mum." And one of our lovely ladies in our group called Laura asked if I could do one for her on my embroidery machine. She sent me the Minky, and we got one of these breastfeeding logos off of Etsy, but it's a pumping one because she exclusively pumped breast milk for her son for a very long time. And I was very proud of her, and I was really, really stoked to be asked to do that for her, to make a nappy for her gorgeous little boy. So I wonder, Laura, if you have any pictures of that one, because I don't think I have any pictures going around of that one. So if you could let us know in our sew along, if you have that nappy still, that would be awesome. I would love to see that again. But for those of you who do not want to embroider, but you want to use a decorative outer of Minky, the rainbow catcher is definitely going to serve you well. I got these 2 gorgeous Minky prints off of Wicked Fabrics, was known as Wickedly Woven back then. And Vivi did a short run of 2 of her very popular prints at that time, the Peacock and the Cumulus. And so I snapped them up, and they're still sitting here on my shelf. I haven't really used much of them. I did some cloth pads and some nursing pads with it as well, but I'm going to have that Minky forever. It's definitely one of my favorites. So you can use just any pretty Minky that you have that you love. As you can see, I have quite a lot of Minky here. I have a few of the custom Minkies, but when I came into sewing cloth nappies, it was all sort of starting to die down. So I didn't really get in on the craze of the tie-dye Minkies and things like that. So I only have a couple of those in my stash, but yeah, you can go to Spotlight and you can buy some of their low stretch Minky. I've got some of that here, and they're plain coloured Minky, or you can buy some custom printed Minky. A lot of the custom knit groups now are actually offering a lot of their custom prints on Minky base. So keep an eye open for that. If there's something that you love from one of the custom groups that you're in love with, just check to see if they do it in Minky, because a lot of them do. And this nappy here, actually I have 2 really cute ones. I bought, and the lady who actually digitized these is in our group. I think her name's Lisa. And I've got heaps of these, but these were 2 of my favorites. Shopkins! And I did these for Soph, and I think these are size large. And they stitch out really, really well. So yeah, I just did, this is just Spotlight Minky, and this is some of the custom tie-dye Minky. I have no idea where it's from or what it's called. I just bought it, liked it. So yeah, rainbow catchers, and I have a lot more of these than I realised. Now, I could not, for the life of me, get my head around how rainbow catchers worked. So, Cloth Child, what was she called back then? So it's Amanda anyway. She was selling some on clearance on her website because she had, I think, stopped making nappies. So I thought, you know what, I'm gonna buy one so I can see it in real life, because I have no idea what these are supposed to look like or feel like, what they're supposed to be made of. So I actually bought one off of her, a rainbow catcher, and she's got her rainbow catcher label with the size M on it. And I looked at it and went, oh, that makes so much sense. So she doesn't top stitch her leg elastics or the back elastic, so I took that on board and I didn't top stitch those either. I think the pattern actually calls for top stitching, but I like that these aren't top stitched because they kind of roll in nicely and they're not going to leak. And yeah, so I had a look at it, and what Amanda actually does is, because she makes it her own, is she uses one of these snapping boosters, which is called a snake for obvious reasons, and it snaps. The snaps are there, and I'll just see if I can show you how it works. So we snap it down, and then it just folds up into thirds, and this is made from bamboo fleece as well, so it's 2 layers of bamboo fleece. And then on this portion of the snake that sits against baby's skin, she's just done I think it's micro fleece or suede cloth, could be zorb, actually no, I think this is zorb, which I've never sewn with before. So that was really cool, and I like to see how she made her nappy, and it made sense. So that's just something that I recommend if you're wanting to get into nappies and you don't have a clue how they're supposed to look. If you've never actually touched a cloth nappy before, like I hadn't, it's worth buying just one. I bought one, just a regular pull pocket nappy at a baby expo here in Adelaide, from Hippie Bottomist, and that was $9.95 I think for that nappy. So that really gave me a clear idea about how they were supposed to be sewn together and what that was supposed to look like. So that's just a suggestion. And oh, this is another rainbow catcher. Apparently I like sewing rainbow catchers. I made this one for my husband, for Soph, of his, we actually had the logo digitized, and I cannot remember who did it for us, of his favorite soccer team in Chile. And we thought we were never gonna have a son, so I'm like, you know what, stuff it, I'm gonna make one for our little girl. And that's what it looks like there, his favorite soccer team in Chile, which is really cool. But now Ruben gets to wear this one, which is even cooler. Thanks for joining me today, guys. It's been really, really fun revisiting all the different types of nappies that I have in my stash. I hope you enjoyed what you saw today, and I hope that you got something out of it. If you've got any questions about anything specifically in this video, be that it patterns, techniques, terminology, fabrics, any of those things, please let me know in the comments below, or you can go to our group. You can find us on Facebook, and I'll link that below, and just shoot any questions at us, whether it's in the Sew Along event page or if it's on the main wall. Somebody will answer your question. Please join me on my next video coming up shortly, where we will discuss materials and where to source them from, and all the cheaper alternatives that you can get away with using. I look forward to chatting to you, and until then, see you later.